Okay, so get this. Back in 2021, almost half the workforce in Ireland, we're talking 42%, was actively job hunting.
Wow, nearly half.
Exactly. And on top of that, 40% felt their future just wasn't with their current company at all. I mean, think about that.
That's huge. That's the great resignation we heard so much about. Right there in the numbers, people just leaving.
Voting with their feet, yeah. But here's where it gets really strange.
Uh-huh.
At the same time, mid-2022, you had 79%, nearly 4 out of 5 Irish employers saying they were struggling to recruit people.
79%. That's the highest in over a decade, I believe.
It is, highest in 12 years. So you've got loads of people looking for jobs and tons of companies desperate to hire.
But they're not matching up. There's this disconnect. So the big question is, what on earth is actually going on?
Right. It's a real puzzle. You might think, oh, it's just about the money, right? Bigger salaries.
That's the easy answer, yeah.
But what we want to do in this deep dive is dig a bit deeper. We think the key lies in looking at this through the lens of well-being. Ah, okay. So overall health.
Exactly. Mental, physical, and social well-being. How focusing on that is changing not just how we cope with stress or find meaning in our jobs.
But also how companies actually manage to attract people and, crucially, keep them.
Precisely. We're going to look at the research, see what it says about these well-being initiatives and organizations. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. And thinking about that bigger picture, this high turnover, the recruitment struggles, it feels like more than just a blip.
It does, doesn't it?
It suggests there's been a real shift, like a fundamental change in what people actually want from work now. It's not just the old metrics.
And what really jumped out at me from the research was exactly that. How much employees are now weighing well-being things when they're looking for jobs.
Right, when they're applying, deciding where to go.
Yeah, it seems like it's way beyond just the salary and the usual benefits package now. What is that extra something, and why now?
Well, that's where this idea of holistic well-being really comes into play. It's not just about the cash or the corner office anymore. Okay.
People are looking for workplaces that support them as a whole person.
Yeah.
And the research often breaks it down into those 3 pillars you mentioned.
Mental, physical, social.
Exactly. And the companies that get this, the ones really leaning into supporting those areas, they seem to be navigating this tricky hiring market much better.
While the ones who don't are. Well, they're the ones struggling with that disconnect we talked about.
Precisely.
Okay, let's tackle that first pillar then. Mental well-being. For so long, the vibe in many workplaces was just, suck it up, tough it out.
Oh, absolutely. Push through the stress, don't show weakness.
But the numbers here are quite sobering. Around 20% of employees in any given organization are likely dealing with some kind of mental well-being issue.
1 in 5 people. That's significant.
It really is. It's not some small niche problem. It's widespread. It affects people you work alongside every single day.
That figure really drives it home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mental health isn't some separate thing over there. It's part of the workplace fabric. And what the research really stresses is the role of leadership. Senior management buy-in is absolutely critical.
Why critical?
Well, because without it, any initiatives can just feel like lip service, You need that commitment from the top to create a culture that's genuinely accepting and supportive if someone needs help. It's about setting the tone.
Leading by example. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, assuming the leadership is on board, what kind of practical things are companies doing? What actually works?
Well, one thing mentioned is mental health first aid training.
Okay, what's that involve?
It's not just a quick seminar. It actually trains up employees, managers, HR folks to give immediate support, a bit like physical first aid, but for mental well-being crises.
So building that immediate knowledgeable support inside the team, I like that.
Exactly. And then complementing that internal support, you need good external systems too.
Like EAPs, employee assistance programs.
Precisely. EAPs are vital. They offer confidential, professional help for all sorts of issues, personal or work-related. It takes pressure off internal teams and gives people expert, impartial support.
And it's also about being proactive, right? Not just reactive, like sharing information.
Yes, definitely. Providing resources on common stressors, things that might seem outside work but absolutely impact it, like managing debt or time management skills, even relationship advice.
Shows they see the whole picture of an employee's life.
Exactly. But, providing resources is one thing. Understanding what people actually need, That comes from listening.
Through surveys.
Yeah. The study found 44% of companies use annual staff surveys with specific mental well-being questions, and about 27% have dedicated mental well-being surveys.
That data must be gold. It means they can tailor support instead of just guessing what might help.
Absolutely. It moves away from generic solutions. And sometimes, look, these things cost money, but it's framed as an investment.
Right. You mentioned talks, for example.
Yeah, corporate talks on mental well-being, like aware offers. They might cost, say, €500 for staff sessions, maybe 5,750 tutor management.
Which sounds like a lot, but compared to the cost of turnover or burnout?
Exactly. It signals a real financial commitment, recognizing there's a tangible return on looking after your people's mental health.
Okay, moving to the second pillar, physical well-being. Now, most people know they want to be healthier, right?
Oh, definitely. The awareness is high. When you ask people what they want to change, it's always the same things.
Like what?
More exercise, that's a big one, 43%. Better sleep, about the 30%. Healthier eating or drinking, 27%. Losing weight, 24%. People generally know what they should be doing.
But, and this is the kicker, work often gets in the way.
Bingo. That's a huge finding. Lack of time was cited by 43%, and work commitments directly by 29%.
I think everyone listening can relate to that. End of a long day, the sofa looks way more appealing than the gym.
Doesn't it just?
So if work is the barrier, it really implies organizations have a part to play in helping people overcome those hurdles. What can they actually do?
And this is where it gets interesting, because it doesn't always have to be expensive. Lots of solutions are low cost or even free.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Simple stuff. Organizing lunchtime walks, encouraging quick stretch breaks away from the desk, holding meetings while walking.
Walking meetings, I like that. Gets you moving.
Exactly. Or team challenges, like a Couch to 5K or an Eat Well challenge. You can set those up pretty quickly, maybe in a week.
Doesn't sound like a huge drain on resources.
Not at all. Even just compiling and sharing monthly tips on healthy eating, local health resources that might only take a day of someone's time. It's more about effort and planning than cash.
Okay, so those are the accessible options. But what are companies typically offering? You mentioned basics like water.
Yeah, the basics are pretty well covered. Like
Yep.
93% provide drinking water, 88% have on-site food options, which is good, foundational stuff.
But when you look beyond the basics...
That's where the numbers drop off significantly.
Hmm.
Only 28% offer things like health and fitness checks. Just 47% provide healthy snack options, less than half.
Wow. And actual exercise facilities.
Even fewer. Only 20% have on-site exercise spaces. And only 27% offer free or discounted gym memberships.
So there's a big gap between providing water and actively helping people get fit.
A huge gap. And again, bridging it doesn't have to break the bank. We saw talks on exercise or sleep might cost around €295 from some providers. That's a pretty small investment for potentially big gains in energy and focus.
Yeah, absolutely. It really feels like a missed opportunity for many employers to help staff turn those health goals into reality, especially when work itself is the obstacle.
It really is.
Okay, pillar number 3, social well-being. What does this actually look like at work, especially now with so much remote and hybrid stuff going on?
Fundamentally, social well-being is about connection. It's about being able to communicate well, build proper relationships, and feel like you can actually be yourself around your colleagues.
Feeling accepted, respected.
Exactly. Accepted, appreciated. And organizations create that by fostering open communication. It's maybe even more crucial for remote or hybrid teams because you lose those spontaneous chats.
Yeah, the water cooler moments.
Yeah.
You have to be more deliberate.
You really do. You have to intentionally build those connections.
So how are companies trying to do that? What initiatives are working?
Well, flexibility helps a lot. The research shows 67% offer flexible hours or hybrid remote work.
And that helps social well-being how? Less stress?
Partly less stress, yes, but also it gives people more control and time for their personal lives, their families, friends. That balance helps their overall social connection.
Makes sense. What about actual social events?
Pretty common, too. 66% offer social stuff outside work hours. Team drinks, dinners, that kind of thing.
Okay. But what about other things?
That's where it gets patchier again. Things offered less often, like somewhere between 31% and 54% include really important stuff.
Such as?
Team building during work hours, not just after. Mentoring or buddy systems, especially for new people. Volunteering opportunities. CSR initiatives that give a sense of shared purpose. Even things like having a recreational space on site, running seminars specifically on social well-being, or offering free or subsidized courses for personal development. These all build connection and belonging, but they're not universally offered.
So lots of room for improvement there too.
Definitely.
Okay, let's pull this all together. We've looked at what employees seem to want, this holistic support for mental, physical, social health, and we've looked at what companies are actually providing.
And the picture that emerges is, well, it's a bit stark, isn't it?
It really is. There's a clear gap. The study we've been drawing on looked at 36 different well-being initiatives,
Yeah.
and it found that for 26 of those 36, a large chunk of organizations simply weren't offering them.
26 out of 36. That's
Yeah.
that's more than a gap. That's a gulf.
It really highlights it, doesn't it? Some basics might be there, but that truly comprehensive, joined-up approach to well-being
Yeah.
still missing in many places.
Yeah. And the crucial point, the one we keep coming back to, is that it's not always about money.
Right. So many impactful things are free or low cost.
Those lunchtime walks we mentioned, team challenges, just sharing good information. It takes effort, yes. It takes planning. It takes genuine commitment.
But it doesn't necessarily take a huge budget. Money shouldn't be the excuse for inaction here.
Absolutely not. The research suggests that quite clearly.
And at the end of the day, focusing on employee well-being isn't just, the nice thing to do. It's smart business.
Totally. It demonstrably leads to lower stress, less burnout, people being more engaged.
And crucially, given where we started this conversation, it helps companies attract and keep good people, especially in this tough recruitment market.
It solves that disconnect problem we identified right at the start. It's a win-win.
So to kind of wrap up what we've explored in this deep dive,
Yeah, summarize.
we've seen just how tightly linked our work lives are with our overall well-being, mental, physical, social. They're not separate compartments.
No, they absolutely influence each other. And the organizations that really grasp this, that take that holistic view, they're not just creating better workplaces.
They're also solving their own talent headaches. Finding and keeping staff becomes easier. It's a really powerful feedback loop.
It is.
So I guess the big takeaway is that these well-being initiatives, they've moved beyond being a perk.
Yeah, not just a nice to have if the budget stretches.
Exactly. They're a strategic necessity now for us as individuals wanting fulfilling work and for companies wanting to succeed.
And importantly, as we said, it doesn't always require massive spending. Often it's about creativity, commitment, and genuinely caring.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to ponder.
Okay.
There's that quote from the old philosopher Zeno of Citium. He said something like, "Well-being is attained by little and little, and nevertheless is no little thing itself."
I like that. Small steps build up.
Exactly. It's not about massive overnight changes. It's about consistency. So maybe think about the small, consistent steps you could take.
Could be personal boundaries at work, or maybe suggesting a small initiative in your team, or just actually taking that lunchtime walk every day.
Right. Those small things can add up to make a big difference to your own job satisfaction, how you manage stress. So the question to leave you with is, what's one small step, just one, you could take starting today?